found that using an MEC on like the return liquid stream, you're able to reduce treatment costs by around 56 to 88% per kilogram of cod removed compared to activated sludge. And again, that's for an hydraulic retention time of 1 day or less.
So if you're analysing a sample getting a result from a sample twice as quick, theoretically you free up half of your equipment. So this would leave you with an increased capacity to cope in times of crises. So in a flood event, you'd be able to supply results to the public quicker.
Geothermal energy harnesses the energy from the heat of the Earth's crust by injection of water into a borehole and capturing the steam to power electric turbines for heating. The water industry is in a unique position, having access to the resources required in geothermal energy production: water, space, and future innovation in carbon dioxide. A geothermal plant can produce 1 gigawatt hour of energy, of renewable energy per year over a 400 metre square plant. This would equate to the reduction in CO2 of 250 tonnes approximately. In contrast, a solar farm would need to be 10,000 metres square to generate the equivalent energy.
I would suggest that if you manage particle accumulation in drinking water distribution systems, that would improve system resilience and would reduce CO2 emissions. When you go into customer acceptability, the customers can really only be happy with better quality drinking water, but we did identify that local disturbances or local disruptions are not, they can't be avoided really.
It can be defensive, trying to prevent bad things from happening, or progressive, trying to ensure that good things happen. It can be classed as consistent, this is how it's always been done, or flexible, this is how letting policy change with the times. Actual organisation resilience comes from all four of these words. It's actually paradoxal thinking.
So in terms of resilience, this looks at changes in the chemical profile of the wastewater that is coming in, as well as regulations and changes around the dosing of chemicals. In terms of customer acceptability, we believe this would be positive because it shows a proactive nature of the water industry. As you'll see later, there is a reduction in the overall carbon emissions and also the potential for minimal disruption.
The slide shows the innovation applied to an example in Sheffield, where the outflow channel is modified to contain a dam which creates the necessary head, and the flow is diverted to a turbine parallel to the channel. Note that the dam can retract partially or fully in high flow conditions. One main benefit of this innovation is its low risk from a technical perspective, with the main development needed being the adaptation of retractable flood barriers to the dam application required here. So with surveying time for all the applicable sites considered, we believe that hydropower could be implemented at sewage sites across the UK in time for 2030.
And we propose to develop a case study for this data collection, and as an indicative number, we propose 5,000 households across the country. Now, the sensors themselves, they clamp onto the water pipes and use ultrasonic waves to measure the water flow, and then transmit those measurements over to a central hub over Wi-Fi or cellular network.
We're proposing a new innovation for the UK, which is this gravity train powered by renewables. So these are trains which are powered uphill when renewable sources provide surplus energy, and then when power is needed, the trains are deployed downhill, and regenerative braking converts the gravitational potential energy into electrical energy. So we base our carbon and cost estimates on generating all of the current water industry's operational electricity needs, which is about 1 gigawatt, using a combination of renewables and storage. So it does give a high estimate, saving 3.1 million tonnes of carbon equivalent at a cost of £5.4 billion.
Our idea of resilience would be we're able to maintain a transportation fleet which uses a sustainable fuel source which isn't subject to changes in international market pricing, scarcities or importation issues. And this would be to power a large fleet of tens of thousands of vehicles operating for water companies across the country, ranging from cars, vans, heavy gauge vehicles, answering calls on site, transporting chemicals. And our idea for this would be to employ the raw waste products we have from wastewater treatment processes and transport these into biomethane, which we could then sustainably run our vehicles with.
This campaign would take the form of a web-based and social media-based to make sure all customers are reached, and development of an app which includes video tutorials by plumbers of how to fix leaks, quizzes to keep customers learning of new techniques, as well as a leak tracking program
for customers to compare the amount of leaks they have fixed with their neighbours or other district metered areas.
And this includes nitrous oxides and methane, both of which are generated by the degradation of organics in sludge. And both of these gases have very high global warming potentials, especially relative to carbon dioxide. So I think this is a very key area for the sector to target. And this involves converting methane into longer chain hydrocarbons that could then be used as fuel.
Many pumping stations have emergency storage capacity in case pumps fail entirely. I propose using this storage as part of normal operation. Currently, pumps are activated by a simplistic system based on the depth of sewage in the well. By utilising the emergency capacity and real-time monitoring of the volume of sewage, water companies will have the power to choose when they activate the pumps.
There is this new startup that demonstrated that with this graphene membrane we can reduce the price of the membranes and so the energy of the entire plant can be useful and the energy cost can be very low.